the first thing you'll notice is that Arguello, the challenger, is a little taller. He stands 5'9½". He's 2 inches taller than Watt. Watt's fifth defence, Arguello's attempt to win his third world title. And Watt, the southpaw, comes out, right fist, right foot forward, with that astonishingly pale skin, the colour of candlewax. Arguello having his 71st professional fight tonight. And this is his 16th World Championship fight. He's only ever been beaten once in a world title fight, and that was the first one he ever had, way back in 1974. Watt's 46th fight, and his 6th world title fight. For the challenger looks really very much bigger. In fact, he's a quarter-pound lighter. The main concern in the Watt camp, I imagine, will be about the vulnerability of his eyes. He picked up some real damage against Sean O'Grady in his last fight back on November the 1st. But he came through that. And Watt, who'll be 33 next month, is a very determined young man indeed when his title is at stake. They'll have to pin him down to the canvas and drag the title out of him, I tell you. Neither man too anxious to lead. Watt at one time used to be almost basically a counterpuncher, but he's considerably changed his style in later years. And with it has come this astonishing late career success. A real Indian summer of a career. Three judges who are sitting outside the ring. The referee doesn't score tonight. Three judges outside the ring, I would imagine, will have put 10-10 on their cards for that opening round. Jim Watt, Scotland, MBE, 5'7½" with a 69.5-inch reach. His fifth defence tonight, and his first fight in London since June 1978, when he appeared at the National Sporting Club in Regent Street. And the Scots really are doing their man proud tonight. They've invaded Wembley, and they are determined to try to carry him to victory on a great tide of sound. They're fighting this championship in a ring that is just over 19 feet square. In fact, originally the ring from the conference centre just up the road was brought here and installed, but the Arguello camp complained that it was too small. It was in fact 16 feet square, and so last night, working throughout the night, carpenters have added 3 feet all round to this ring. Arguello beginning to look a little livelier. And Watt gives ground behind the southpaw lead. Arguello, the former WBA featherweight champion, 9 stone. Then the WBC junior lightweight champion, 9 stone 4. Now attempting to win the WBC lightweight title, 9 stone 9. And only a few men in the whole history of boxing have won 3 world titles at different weights. That is what Arguello is attempting to win. Arguello beginning to jab with some severity. And beginning to move in a slightly higher gear. These two have had one of the friendliest build-ups to any championship fight I can remember. From the moment they met, they seemed to have instant respect and admiration for each other. I wouldn't say friendship developed, but they showed utter respect for each other before this fight. All that now behind them. Making 1 or 2 footwork mistakes. Jim Watt, of course, is already on record as saying that he doesn't think the man is too versatile, he's a bit mechanical, and that he thinks he himself, Jim, is the better artist of the two. This is $1 million fight. Over £500,000 has been paid to put this fight on, and of that, Jim Watt is going to receive more than £350,000. Far and away the record purse for a British fight. '29-year-old Arguello, now living in Miami, Florida, having left his native country, Nicaragua, a year or 2 ago with his wife and 4 children, and also 10 other friends and relatives that he supports now in Miami. 15 World Championship fights. It really is an astonishing record. He lost the first one he ever had when he was just under 22 years old. But a few months later, he fought for it again in Los Angeles against Ruben Olivares, and he won it. And he became the first Nicaraguan world champion in any sport. And he was only 22 at the time, the youngest man ever to win the World Featherweight Championship, and the tallest, 5'9½". So 2 rounds completed, and nothing very much definite either way. Slightly more aggression from Arguello. Arguello tends to come strongly late in fights. In 2 of his most important fights, he stopped his man in the 13th round. And he's beginning to get through with rather fast and accurate punching. The right hand of Arguello is beginning to find its way across, and Watt would do well to keep clear of that. Well, we've seen Watt give ground before in championship fights. We've seen him hustled a bit in the early stages, but he's managed to outlast people. But I must say, this one looks... he looks exceptionally strong and big. Arguello. And Watt found a little bit of trouble again inside there. And the reach of Arguello is beginning to tell. Both lefts and rights now finding their way into Watt's face. Round 3. No doubt now that Arguello is the first man to take the initiative and to establish a little bit of superiority. Arguello ignores it and comes on. And what is just faintly marked around the eyes, in no way cut, but there's a redness appearing under both eyes. Marches like a soldier back to the corner. Spent most of the round on retreat. Had to take one or two punches, both from the left and the right hand, in the face. And you can see for yourself, I think, particularly under that right eye, just a few reddish marks. But of course, any sort of marking around Watt's eyes is cause for concern, because he is vulnerable there. He does cut. In fact, he's lost 3 fights in the whole of his career inside the distance, and each time it's been with a cut over the right eye. 45 professional contests, Watt, 38 wins. He's won 27 of them inside the distance, and 7 defeats, but never been beaten in a world title fight. Both these men turned professional in the same year, 1968. And it's interesting that they actually had their first professional fights within 19 days of each other, all those years ago. And it's taken all this time for them to find their way together in a 19-foot ring in London. Into yet another high gear. Watt didn't want to be trapped on the ropes. He was quick to get off from there. And there's certainly a more fluid look and a more confident look about Arguello's boxing at the moment than there is about Watt's. Watt is very much on the defensive. Good right hand from Arguello. And he roughs Jim up. And the normally tidy hair of Watt now is ruffled, tousled. Watt tries the left hand over the top. Originally, this fight looked like being staged abroad. Rogelio Robles of Mexico bid the $1 million originally, but then found he couldn't find an arena in America for it. And so Harry Levine and Mickey Duff, the London promoters, stepped in and have gone into partnership with Mr. Robles to put it on in London. I don't know if he's got time to see it, Watt, but every time he moves around this ring, there's a post facing him which says Glasgow on it. This fight is sponsored by the Lafferty Group of companies from Glasgow. And so the word Glasgow appears on all 4 ring posts. chance Arguello's had, always moving forward, always taking the initiative, and occasionally putting lefts and rights across, which didn't hurt Jim Watt, but they certainly disturbed the rhythm of his boxing. But then this man is an exceptional challenger. In his latest fight, a non-title fight in Miami Beach in February, he stopped Robert Vasquez of Texas inside 3 rounds, and you'll remember Vasquez as one of the challengers to Jim Watt for his world title back in '79. Jim Watt took 9 rounds to beat Vasquez, and Arguello has recently done it in 3. We can have another look at that first Arguello attack in that last round. Good right hand that. You see it took Watt completely off balance. And at one stage, well, you can see 3 punches now have gone in with some severity. Just 1 jab in return. It's always difficult to judge just how a fighter will fare when he moves up a weight. And of course this man has come up 2 weights. Actually, when you look at him, the height of him, you wonder how he ever made featherweight. Watt keeping his guard high to ward off those wide right hands coming in. Getting his footwork mixed up again. He is a little clumsy at times. Stands still for a moment. The champion has to take one to the head. He needs to keep moving. Just reddened slightly around the left and right eye. Difficult to tell just how much strength of punch Arguello will have as a lightweight. What is effective when you're at a lighter weight sometimes doesn't prove half as effective when you move up. Watt trying to keep his punches short and crisp. Arguello making his travel further. And Watt clearly has decided to plan a campaign in the early rounds here based on countering on retreat, which is very much his old style. Jabbing away into the face of the challenger. And the pace of the fight increases. Put in some good punches, Watt, in this round. He's boxed very, very well on the retreat. And this crowd sense it, and that is the best round that Watt's had yet. He was always being chased, but he kept cool, and he kept his punches nice and short, and he scored well at times by popping that right hand in and out of the challenger's face. Terry Lawless, the man who transformed the career of Jim Watt. At a time when you might have thought Watt would have thought about retiring, which I'm sure he must have done at one time, he went to Terry Lawless and said, "What can you do for me?" Lawless took him over, and ever since then, the pair of them haven't looked back. It's a really remarkable, romantic story of the boxing ring. How these 2 men came together very late in Watt's boxing career and have made a total success of the partnership. So So very little between these two as they come out for the 6th. Already a third of the way through the scheduled 50. One thing Watt must try to do here is keep those eyes clear of trouble, which is very much, of course, why he's doing so much retreating. The last thing he wants is too much close quarter work where eyes do get damaged. Head. Not sure what the quarter was for. Maybe it was a little clash of heads. Certainly Watt's head suddenly shook very fiercely. The odd punch out as he goes back. This is what the Americans used to call getting on the old bicycle, boxing on the retreat, pedaling away backwards around the ring. So up we come for round 7 in this fascinating contest between two very, very good men. The pale figure of Watt advances to the center again to face the swarthy-skinned Nicaraguan Alexis Arguello. He defended the first title he won, the WBA Featherweight Championship. He defended that 4 times, then gave it up in 1976, said he would retire, and then almost at once came back and proceeded to win the WBC Junior Lightweight title, and then defended that 8 times and gave it up because of weight problems again last year after 2.5 years as champion. And then, of course, last year he beat Cornelius Boza Edwards when Boza Edwards took a fight at short notice in the States against him, and he stopped him. But it's fair to say, I think that Boza Edwards wasn't at his absolute fittest for that. And since then, of course, Boza Edwards has won the very title that but Arguello used to hurry. Arguello comes forward, seeking with the right. Arguello blinks a little bit as he comes forward. And over goes the champion for the first time in this fight. Just halfway through the 7th round. So, the first real dramatic sensation. And it's all Arguello's. Now then, can Watt escape further trouble? With just over a minute left of this round, and Arguello now sure to put real pressure on the seconds in his corner, signalling to him furiously to come on in. Now Watt is having a job to cover up against this little attack here. Left eye of Arguello. So the action is really flared into action. Watt told not to hit and hold at the same time. And there's quite a little bump coming up at the side of Arguello's left eye. Just be that he felt that coming up and decided to go into real action with dramatic results. So the 7th round is over, and Arguello had the first big success of this championship fight. You can see the mark near his left eye over on the other side of his face. There's a bump and a graze appeared there, which could give him trouble later in the fight. Now let's have a look and see how Jim Watt was bowled over here. Good left hand, and the following right only just missed him. In a way, it was almost lucky that he was on his way down, because if he'd still been standing up, the right might have really done more damage. But it was the left hand, big sweeping one that Jim just didn't see coming. And there he was, and he wisely took a little count. 8 rounds to go, and Arguello in front. But the challenger with a slight problem near his left eye. That was an extraordinary left hand from Arguello, because it started way back, a long way back. And still, Watt didn't see it coming. Singing starts up to revive the possibly slightly sagging morale of the champion, although Watt is always a good man when he's under most pressure, and that little setback might just bring something extra out of him. You never know. Friendly sort of chap he did earlier at the weigh-in today. Anything but. Good left again. And what got caught by that is he was on the ropes. He's getting caught all too frequently. One downstairs, one up from Arguello. Pace of this fight now really heating up. And it's turning very much into the challenger's way. somewhat bleeding from the nose. And again, he pumps that southpaw lead out, but he doesn't stop Arguello coming. Retreating round for what? In fact, he spent almost every round so far. We've had 8 of them. Almost every one of them he spent on the retreat. But he did make a little comeback in the middle of the round. But for the most part, it was Arguello chasing and quite often scoring. And Terry Law is now having a very calm and long talk with Jim Watt. And you can see yourself from the expression on Lawless's face, the face is set and there's concern there. Without any doubt, and no wonder. There's a lot to do now if Watt is going to win this fight. He's got to come from behind. He's got to find some weapons with which to stop this Latin American challenger coming towards him and letting the punches flow freely. It's a tall order now for Watt, but it's not lost yet. Is bleeding again from the nose. 5 seconds into the 9th round. Clearly Arguello has done some damage there to Watt's nose. Trying to rouse Watt. Great wave of Scottish support now comes sailing into this ring. Watt is suffering with that nose. Bleeding badly. He may be swallowing blood from inside as well. But every now and again he's making Arguello scowl as he gets the jab in. And Arguello hasn't got off scot-free either. Scot-free. Watt's left hand not very much in evidence. It's all right jabs. And he seems staggered again by a left from Arguello. And again. And the champion now is finding this very, very hard. When he walks forward, Arguello pumps one in. But Watt still comes forward. He's trying to turn the tide against the other man now. He's been retreating for 8 rounds, and now he's trying to come forward. And again, that long left arm of Arguello snakes out. The reach has played a big part in this so far. Jim makes another hurried march back to the corner for repairs to the nose. Arthur Mercante, the referee, has had a quick look at it, but is satisfied that he can continue. He goes to collect the judges' slips. These scores are collected at the end of every round from the 3 judges outside. Mercante himself won't score, just the 3 judges. from neutral countries. Arguello with just that mark at the side of the left eye. A bump, and I think a very slight graze. There's never been any sign of blood there. And Watt is ready to go, but Arguello isn't. And still the blood trickles from the left nostril of Jim Watt. Watt said earlier tonight that he felt this fight might go the distance. And Watt is cut underneath the left eye. That's the first real sign of damage around those eyes, but he's cut on the cheekbone under the left eye. That's not a dangerous place. So the signs of damage beginning to appear now in more than one place on the face of the champion. Tall, swarthy man. Not coming forward quite as much now, you'll notice, as he was. Backing off himself now. And Watt bleeds rather badly from that cut under the eye, but of course it's not running into the eye as it would be if the cut was over the eye. It's not nearly such a dangerous place to have a cut, but it certainly doesn't look very pretty. Slowed down considerably. Arguello takes a punch and backs off. He's opening his mouth now, Arguello, every time he punches. Might just be beginning to feel the place. Rounds the challengers have. And it's the 10th, and it's very interesting. Almost as though he's taking a breather. He's really stood off and done nothing. And what looks to me as though he might have even more trouble with that left eye, because there's a red mark above it. Whether he's got a cut up there or whether it's just the blood from underneath the eye being transferred around it, which I think is the answer, well, certainly Lawless is not working at all over the eye. So I think it's just blood that's being smeared around the eye. But he's certainly got a nasty cut under that left eye. Mercante, the referee, has come to inquire about it. Corner obviously assuring Mercante that it's nothing. And in fact, Adrian Whiteson, the boxing ball doctor, has climbed into that corner as well because he wants to have a look at it. He is the board senior medical officer. And Whiteson, I think, saying to Mercante, well, you better keep your eye on it and we'll see how it goes. And Watt marches out eagerly to get to grips in the 11th. With a very marked face. And the right hand of Arguello. explores and finds the side of the face of Watt. What really now needs a storming finish. He's a good man over 15 rounds, well used to going the distance. Everything now depends on how strong Arguello is. If he's still strong, then Watt may find trouble. If he is weakening at all, anything could happen. Right hand didn't look as though he was weakening. Certainly took a breather in the 10th. Mercante having a close look in the face of Watt. I wouldn't have thought the damage there would justify stopping it at this stage, not by any means. Stood leading. And the right hand of Arguello pumps in with considerable force. It's always the punch that's said to be the one to use against the southpaw. Takes another hardish punch, but still in there, battling away to try to keep this crown that he won so late in life. His 5th defence tonight. And Watt again makes that hurried walk back to the corner. Lawless is talking to Mercante, the referee. And Mercante turns away and goes to collect the judges' slips. And the corner work feverishly on that cut under the left eye. So now we move into the very late stages of this fascinating WBC lightweight championship battle between the champion, the pale Jim Watt from Scotland, and the swarthy-skinned Latin American, Alexis Arguello from Nicaragua, a man who now is no longer welcome in his own country and self-exiled to the United States. Arguello sinks one up the midriff of Watt. This always promised to be a good battle between these two. And it's been intriguing all the way, because Watt has tried all sorts of tactics here to overcome this reach disadvantage and to protect his eyes. He certainly hasn't got a cut above the eyes, which is a small triumph in itself, but he has been on the floor once from a sweeping left hand. It's flung from way back. Watt again. A couple of rounds in which Arguello backed up, but for the most part it's been Watt moving backwards around this 19-foot Wembley ring. Very close round. In fact, I think Watt did a little more work than Arguello did in that round. 29-year-old Alexis Arguello, with 70 fights behind him, 66 wins, and 54 of those have been won inside the distance. Just 4 defeats, only 1 inside the distance. The only time he's been stopped was way back in December 1971, when he sustained a broken left hand. The ice bag now going on the bump near the left eye. He's only had 1 defeat in the last 7 years, and that was in 1978, a non-title fight. He dropped a 10-round points decision to Villamar Fernandez in New York. His only defeat in the last 7 years. Prophecy in the dressing room earlier tonight that this could go the distance. Beginning to look as though it might well come true, although round 13 has twice proved quite lucky for Arguello in title fights. He's won 2 big fights in the 13th round, both of them against Alfredo Escalera, a former world champion. Last time Watt went 15 rounds was his points win over Howard Davis, the American, in one of his title defenses. There's a smear of blood on the right-hand side of Watt's head. I don't know quite. I think it's come from the nose and it's been smeared up there. And he's got blood smeared down the left-hand side of his face. I just think it's the blood from his nose and the cut under the left eye that's being transferred around his face. But he's beginning to look extremely marked. Standing his ground and firing the left, which is what he has to do now. There's no more retreating really for him, except when he's under impossible pressure. But as a tactic, it's dead now. He's got to come forward and throw punches. Face now beginning to get very, very puffed indeed under both eyes. The nose is bleeding, but he's still standing his ground. and trying to find the punch with which to turn the tide. Great black mark now coming up underneath Watt's left eye, where they've staunched the flow of blood. But his injury is now beginning to look very, very painful indeed. Well, it doesn't look so bad when Terry Lawless gets the towel to work and wipes the smears of blood away, but he's got a cut somewhere up inside that nose, and I think he's got a cut lip as well. Terry's having a good look up underneath that top lip. So he's got a few injuries, I'm afraid, all round his face, and he's going through hell out there, but he's not going to give this title up lightly. And Mercante is hovering over the corner to have a look at the damage. He moves away, satisfied Watt's all right to come out again. It's superficial damage for the most part, although one can't quite tell the severity of that cut up under the nose. That's been there a long time, and it's bled all the time. So just 2 rounds remaining of this lightweight championship battle in the Wembley Arena, in front of thousands of Scots. Cheers now, Jim Watt. Arguello being waved on frantically by his corner. Come forward, they're saying to him, come forward, keep punching. Bruising, cutting contest. Always looked like being the hardest title defence Watt had had, and it's proved more than that. And still, Arguello gets the wave on from his corner. And Watt's finding the punches hard to come by now. He's not raising very many punches in this 14th round. Found one there though, good left hand. Arguello fighting with his mouth open. The pair of them now obviously feeling the pace of these 14 rounds with 3 minutes still to come. Watt smothered in his own blood again. Bruised all over the face. Mouth and nose bleeding. Gum shield is scarlet. And he takes 2 hard punches there, but he still tries to keep the right jabbing as he goes back. What a brave man he is. Look at the damage on his face. And Mercante stands at the corner again and watches Lawless towel his man down. Stares into the face of Jim Watt to make up his mind if all is well, and once again the American referee marches away, and we are going into the 15th and final round. Little action from that 14th round. What a good left hand that was, brought up when he needed it most. Three minutes to go. Scottish flags are waving all around the arena. The last 3 minutes. Now I wonder what this might bring in this hard battle between two good men, the champion Watt and this challenger Arguello, who's looking tonight for his 3rd world title, all at different weights. And if Watt succeeds tonight, he equals Jimmy Wilde's record of 5 successful world title defences, which has stood ever since the First World War. Thunderous noise now at Wembley as the Scots stamp their feet and raise their voices. Time, if we get that far. Watt's prediction to me earlier that he thought this would go the full distance will be proved true, and then we shall have to wait for the score of the 3 judges. And this pale, brave warrior from Scotland, Jim Watt, who was on the seat of his pants earlier in this fight, who suffered damage to his nose, mouth, and around the eyes. He must have been swallowing blood now for something like 7 or 8 rounds. Still in there. Never going to give this title up easily. This one fight alone will have proved him to be a really worthy world champion. Arguello most certainly a very worthy challenger. The seconds now running out, and it's going to go the distance. And what makes a very spirited finish to that fight, and they fall into each other's arms in the most sporting possible way. And Terry Lawless comes over and pats Arguello around the face, as much as to say, well done, even I think you've got that. And it does look to me as though Arguello is the new champion. I've got him a winner on my card, but that doesn't mean a thing. It's up to the judges now, and we must wait for their decision. That was a marvellous battle from the moment they set off at the first bell. And it had its moments of real excitement. It's had its numerous moments of pain and anguish for Watt. And Arguello has come here and made a lot of friends tonight. He's been a thoroughly nice man all the way through the build-up, and the way they fell into each other's arms at the finish proved once again that in boxing, all the aggression is only during the competition, and once it's over, it's friends again.
Ladies and gentlemen, the judges' scores are as follows. Dick Young scores 147 for Arguello, 137 for Watt.
A massive win for Arguello on the first judges' cards.
Scores 147 for Arguello, 143 for Watt.
Arguello is the new champion.
147 for Arguello, 143 for Watt.
It's a unanimous decision, and Alexis Arguello, 29 years old, is the new WBC lightweight champion, and he has become another of those rare men in boxing who have won 3 world titles at different weights. So the reign of Jim Watt, after just over 2 years at the top, has come to an end, but has come to an end in the bravest possible way. He did not give that title up lightly. He battled all the way, but the new champion is the man from Nicaragua, who no longer lives there, Alexis